H2K Infosys provides world-class online IT training, staffing, and software testing solutions to customers worldwide. H2K Infosys, how we are different from our competitors. 100% job-oriented training, hands-on project work, cloud test lab, resume preparation and review, mock interviews, robust syllabus, one-time fee and lifetime access to classes, access to recorded sessions of live classes. H2K Infosys has won the trust of thousands of students worldwide. For a free demo class, visit us at h2kinfosys.com.
Okay, it started recording. Okay, so today we'll discuss on one of the key topics, which is creating a three-tier project or three-layered architecture project. So now, before that, how many of you know what is a class library? Anyone knows what is a class library? I told this DLL. Yeah, it's a DLL. So class library is a DLL. So we saw that we learned what is the difference, what is the advantage of using web service over DLL. We also saw what is the advantage of WCF service over web service. So WCF service is a combination of .NET remoting, web ASMX services, and so where WCF supports multiple protocols. And we also saw that the disadvantages of class library is something like you have to reference the DLLs, but whereas if you are using web services, you can just update the service reference, the methods will be added. Okay, so what we'll do now is we will try to create a three-tier project. Or so let me open MS Paint. Now, so sometimes what happens is, whatever logic you're writing, for example, let's take you have a mobile application, and let's take you have desktop application. So here let's take Gmail. So simple method will be there. Gmail, take for example you want to log in. So you have UID, and then you will have a text box where you will have a text box for UID, and you'll also have something called password, and again you will have a text box. So now let me move this a little bit this side. Okay, so here and then you'll have a button for login. So this is assume that this is a mobile UI, and in the mobile you have user ID, password, and login. And now the same thing, if I do, for example, even in the desktop application, we'll have the same thing. So sometimes the difference between the normal difference between desktop applications or mobile applications is something like we'll have lightweight images there, or lightweight controls in the mobile application, because the RAM size of mobile is normally 1 GB RAM, whereas for desktop you will have normally up to 4 GB or 8 GB RAM. So performance wise, and also UI user interface size for mobile will be very small when compared to desktop. So for that reason, normally when you are designing mobile applications or desktop applications, you have to ensure that the size images which are loading, sometimes even some mobiles will not support all types of images. So have you seen that anytime when you try to open an image which you have taken with your mobile or camera, it will tell you it is not supported, the image is not supported? Anytime you have seen that? So for that reason always we have to ensure that the mobile applications which you are developing are less size when compared to the desktop applications. But some functionalities which you have, for example, let's take UID and password. So when I enter user ID and password, when I click on login, so the moment when I click on login, So I just need to verify whether the user ID and password which I am entering is matching with the database or not, is matching with the values in the database or not. If they are not matching, I will display either UID or password is invalid. Okay, so now, so in this case, both the mobile and it just returns true or false. The method will only return true or false. In this case, what I can do is I can actually reuse the functionality which I have written for desktop. I can reuse the same functionality which I have for mobile as well. So assume that I'm writing the logic on button click. So for example, let me create a project. I'm opening Visual Studio 2013. Okay, now I'm going to create a web application. So file, new project, and I'm going to select ASP.web application, and 2012 I'm going to select ASP.NET empty web application, and I'm going to give this as business logic layer. So, or let's take this as my website. So here I am writing this, for example, we have this solution explorer and I have here my website, and now let's see the scenario which where I have my web page. So right click on this, add new item, I'm going to add login page. So a web form, ASP.NET web form, I'm going to add here login.aspx. And then what I'm going to do here, I have one login.aspx page which is getting created, and then I'll add one more page called home.aspx. Add new item, I'm going to add home.aspx. So let me add home.aspx. Okay, so now I'm adding another page. I'm giving the name as home.aspx and I'm clicking on add. So now I have two pages, one is login.aspx, one is home.aspx. So what I wanted here is, let's try to understand how we can actually do validation before proceeding on three-layer architecture. So login.aspx, I can write the I can actually add here user ID, and I can add a text box, ASP colon text box ID equal to txt user ID, and then I can give run at server. And then I can add a new tag, br tag, and then here I can add password, and again ASP colon text box ID is equal to txt password. And what is the things I need to add here? If I type like this, I'll be able to see the password. So what do I need to do here to make this as password box? Yeah, I got a mixed answers actually. Some of you are telling text mode and some of you are telling us type is equal to password. So type is equal to password is something which we give it in HTML control. So input type equal to password, we gave it in HTML. But when you are doing it in .NET, you need to give text mode equal to password. So the moment you give text mode equal to password, your IIS will convert this into proper HTML input. So I have to give here text mode is equal to password. Okay. Now I have added this. Let me add a br tag, and then I'll write here. I'll add a button here. So ASP colon button ID is equal to btn login, and then run at server. And then I'll give text is equal to login. Okay, so we are good now. So what we'll do now, let me see designer. So we used to do like this. We used to create user ID password, and I'm not aligning this into center or whatever. You know that already. And now when I click on login, ideally what I need to do, if the details are correct, if whatever user ID password is correct, I need to log in, I need to send this to home page. Okay, so this, if I do it here on button click, so I cannot reuse the same functionality for mobile application. For that reason, what we can do is I can actually do it in a separate project. So now let's do one thing. Let me create one class library for business logic layer. So now right click on this, add new item, add new project, and I'm going to add Visual C# class library, and I'm going to add here business logic layer. I'm going to name it as BLL business logic layer dot my website. So you'll understand why I had to do that. So I'm giving this name for this class library, BLL dot my class library, my website. Let me add this. So now I have two projects inside the solution. One is my website, which is a web application, and the other one I have a class library. Okay, let me delete this class1.cs. Okay, so now I have one BLL. For database layer, let me add another class library project, and I'll name it as database layer DBL. I'll put dbl.mywebsite. So right click on this, add new project. I'm going to name that as class library, again class library, and I'm going to name it as a DB layer. So DBL. I'm not putting DLL because again we'll have a confusion. So actually I'm putting database layer dot my website. Click on OK. So now I have like this. Normally when you join any project or when you join any company, you will see three layers. So now one is my website, is web application, and this is DB layer my website, and business logic layer my website. So what I need to do now is in DB layer I'm going to delete this and add one class. Right click on this, add new class, add new item, and then I'm going to select code class, and then I'm going to give the name as I'll give some name as my DB class. Okay, I just gave the name as my DB class, and I'm going to add the class inside my database layer and click on add. So here what I'll do is I'm going to add method for validating the user ID and password. So what I'll do here, I'll write like this: public bool, I'm using bool, validate credentials, and string user ID and then string password. Okay, so I'm going to write like this: validate credentials. I'm going to give the name as user ID and password. Okay, now how do I need to write the code here? This you already know it. Let me quickly do it. You should be helping me if I'm doing something wrong here. Okay, so let me create a table, database table, new query. Let me create a database table with user ID and password. So let me connect to US batch. I'm going to use the database called US batch, and then I'm going to okay, so create table. Let me give login details, and I'm going to put the names as user ID varchar 20, and then password varchar 20, and let me create this table. So now I'm going to add one login to this. Create table. Sorry. I'm going to give one user ID make, and then I'm going to give the password as password. Okay, so let me execute this. So now I have added one values, meg and password. So if the user is entering meg and password, I'm going to check that and I'm going to verify. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write the logic which you already know. So let me do it quickly. So we normally write a stored procedure here, but I'm going to write directly select query. Okay. So now I'm going to do using system.data system.data.sql using system.data.sql client. So I'm going to do it very quickly. First thing, I need a connection. So SQL connection conn is equal to new SQL connection. So all this time we are putting the connection here. So we can even do that in web.config. I'm going to give that as homework to you. It's very simple, and try to research on that, how to add values in the web.config file. If you're not able to find it, I'll tell that in the next class. So either you can do it in here, or you can actually do it here in this file. In web.config file, you can add here there is something called app settings, and you can add here add key is equal to connection string, and then I can write here value is equal to, you can write here data source is equal to Megnath PC, and then you can write here initial catalog. Initial catalog is our US batch, our database, and then I can give integrated security equal to true. So in web.config, normally when you open, inside that you can put one tag called app settings, and inside this app settings tag you can add something called add key is equal to this and value equal to this. So when you add a line, this one, you can actually access this. The reason why we do like this is sometimes in your database layer you might need to write this connection string in many places. In that case, if you hard code in the file, you have to change it in many places. But when you put it in web.config and try to access this from wherever you want, so in that case, sometimes what happens, right? Your server might be down. You might have to change the server name, Megnath PC, to some other server name. So in that case, you have to search for all the files wherever you're writing the connection string like this, if you're writing the connection string in your code. So for example, if I'm writing like this in many places in my code, so I have to search for this wherever I have written my connection string. So instead of that, we have something called, we can add it in web.config file, and what we can do is we can get the value from web.config file. So how to get that here is, we have something called configuration manager. So configuration manager, so let me do one thing. It is there inside your using system.configuration. Now let's try to see whether we get or not. Yeah, we have configuration settings.app settings.net. There are two ways to do it. So let me see whether I'll get the other way. Let me add that references. Let me add that here in the. So I'm doing it in DLL. So database layer logic, data layer logic. So what I'll do here is, I'm going to add reference. I'm going to go to assemblies. I'm going to add system.configuration. Okay, so I got it. So now I added the system.configuration here. So let's see whether I have that or not. So I have now configuration manager dot app settings dot get. So if I write like this, if I give the key name here, so what is my key? My key is connection string. I can give like this. Okay, So please keep this in mind. I repeat again, I went through quickly, so I repeat again. Every time when we are connecting to database in the previous two classes, I have written the code in here, connection string here. So the disadvantages of writing connection string here is, imagine I have my code files and I have multiple code files in my project. There are 20 to 30 code files where in every file I'm hard coding my connection string here instead of getting it from web.config. So in that case, in future, if I have to change my server name, I have to search for all the connection strings and I have to change it. Instead of that, what you can do is add in web.config file single place, and every time when you are getting the connection string, write this code, configuration manager dot app settings dot get. So this will this is key. So for this key, whatever you have it in your web.config, it will get the value. Okay, so is it clear, all of you? Okay, so that is the reason we normally use a web.config file. Web.config file is normally used to add all the configurable values there. Okay, so previously we learned about custom errors. Custom errors where we put HTML status code equal to 404 or whatever respective error codes, we are redirecting to the some error page. Even that we added in web.config. There we got a question saying like whether we can add multiple HTML status codes. Anyone try to research on that, whether we can add 404, 405, 406 like that? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's about connection and command.
For BLL.my website also I have to do the same thing, SQL connection
No.
connection and configuration manager.
BLL will not have any details about connection. So BLL is for business logic layer. So I'm going to tell that DB layer is the one where you write the code for connecting to database. So in BLL you will not write. So I'll tell why we need BLL, why we need DBL. So only your database layer will have the code for connecting to database. So BLL will not have any code for connecting to database. That will call this layer. Okay, so I'll make it clear before end of the session. I'll make this clear. So now I'm writing command. So SQL command cmd is equal to new SQL command, and then here I'm going to write connection command. What is the command? I'm going to write here select count star from what is the table? Login details. Select count star from login details where is the column name, where user ID equal to, so I can do like this, count star from login details where user ID equal to let me give here Megnath and password equal to password. Okay, so now if I execute this, I should get count value as 1. If I'm not getting count value as 1, that means the user and password are invalid. So I copied this and I'll go to my application and I'll put it here. So instead of this UID, I'll put here plus. So I'll put here double quotes and then I'll put here plus and I'll add here user ID, and I'll add here double quotes and I'll add here plus and I will add here password. So now I have the details of user ID and password. I'm just checking select count star from login details where user ID equal to this and password equal to this. Now, so if I have this command ready, I have connection ready, so I have to add one more thing here. I have to tell about what is my connection. So let me put here con. Now I will ask a question to all of you. You have to tell me which method to use it. I have execute non-query, I have something called execute scalar, or I have data adapter and dataset. So which one do you think I have to use here to get that uh, to get the count value? So I got a message, one message. How about others? Do I need to use execute non-query or execute scalar? I need to get a value from the database. So I need to get a single value from the database, which is count value. So in the previous class we saw that Padmini has asked a question, how can we get the maximum ID value? For that, which one we used? Which method we used? We have used execute scalar. See, I repeat again, there are three ways. So let me open this. So your goal is to populate grid view. Then you normally have to choose data adapter and dataset. Okay, so where data adapter will fill dataset and you'll give the dataset to a grid view. Data source equal to, you will give that to a grid view. Now my goal is to update a record, to update some value in database. I can use execute non-query. So this is used to update or to insert whatever, but it will only return you number of rows affected. It will not tell you, it will not return you any value from the command. You will not get any value from the command. It will only execute that query. That's all. And your goal is to execute a command and to get single value. You have to go for execute scalar. So now which one do I use now? Do I use data adapter dataset? So while logging in, do I have a grid view there? I don't have a grid view. I just need to check whether the user ID and password are matching or not. So which method do I think I need to follow here? Do you think method 1 or method 2 or method 3? Yeah, I got messages from couple of you. How about others? Which method I need to follow? Method 1 or method 2 or method 3? How about others? So why method 3? I got a message from Mauna saying method 3, or Sarika said method 3. So why I should do method 3 here in our requirement? Because I need to get the count value from the command. So if I use execute non-query, I will not get the count value. Okay. Now, or I don't want to use data adapter and dataset here because only what happened? Okay. Now let's try to go with the method 3 now. We need to get a single value. So I'm going to go here in my website and now I'm going to write here get the where result is equal to I'm going to put cmd dot execute scalar. Okay, and then what I'm going to do here, if convert dot to int of 32 of result is equal to 0, that means return false, else return true. Okay, so what I'm doing here, I'm getting the value and I'm assigning this and I'm returning false. If the result count is 0, that means the user and password are not matching, and in case if they're matching, that means the count will be so, or I can put like this. Okay, this should be fine. So this logic should be fine. Now I'm done with the database layer method. So what I need to do here is I need to write the same